Hello, my name is Bob. Just going to see if I could take a couple minutes and talk to you for a second. Had something on my mind, and I've been putting these videos out for young men, maybe some men that aren't so young, going through life, and just going to see if I could take a couple minutes to talk to you. You know, I'm chasing 60, and as I was going through today, thinking about some things, there's some, I guess they could be defined as some hard life lessons or some lessons through life that I have learned. And I thought I'd just take a minute and try and pass some of those on. Maybe it can encourage somebody that there could be some brighter days ahead for you. And you know what that is, one of the things as I was interacting this week is some people aren't aware, and I will tell you, I think in today's culture we tend to hide it and not say it and not want it to be true. But the truth is, you know what? Life isn't fair. Life's not fair for hardly anybody. And a lot of times it will seem, if you're like me, that maybe, not today, but in times in the past, that life was more unfair to me than it was unfair to other people. And I felt like the world was just falling down around me and things weren't going through. But, a couple of things I've learned in life to go through, three little lessons that have helped me to get through that in my almost 60 years of this life, I just thought I'd take and pass on. And one of those is, if you're going to get through those times when you feel like things aren't going good and maybe they're really not going good and you've had some hard times, you have to resolve that, you know what, you're not going to quit. Quitting is not an option. Quitting life is not an option. That you're going to persevere. Once you make that commitment to yourself, that you know what, there's only one direction and that direction is forward, then that will start changing your perspective. It will change the fact that, you know what, you have got to push forward and you have got to make this work somehow. And, you may be thinking, okay, so how do I do that? One of the first things you have to do is you have to adapt. You're going to have to adapt to whatever the situation is. You're going to have to adapt to if it is a job change that has happened, if you were going to go to school and now school isn't working out, thought you were going to get into a trade school and that didn't happen, whatever it is, you may end up having to adapt your plans. That does not mean that you change your goal. It does not mean that you change your overall objective. What it means is you may have to adapt the pathway or the tactics that you are going to use to achieve that goal or that objective. It may take you a little bit longer. Let's say you were going to go to school to be, you wanted to be an electrical engineer, and that's not working out. You know what? Maybe you end up getting into a union, trade union for electricians and you work through. Or maybe that doesn't work out and you get hired on with a small electrical company and you get mentored through and you get trained to be an electrician and you can go and get certified. Maybe you do that as a plumber, or you get on and you work your way up to for welding, any of those trade skills. Maybe you were going to go to school for engineering and engineering didn't work out for you, so you took a path in a different degree that will still give you the ability to work and achieve how you would like. Whatever it is, but you may have to be willing to adapt and make some changes. I know there was a time in my life, I'm married, had my wife and I were much younger then, and we had just started having kids, and money was tight. I needed to make a job change. I needed to take a different position or move someplace else in order to be able to support us. There was opportunity for promotions coming up, and I was putting in for them, putting in for the promotions, the location I was at, and it wasn't working out for reasons that I felt weren't fair. But that was beside the point. I still needed to keep pushing forward. I could not quit. I had, a family dependent on me. Quitting was not an option. So I ended up getting a promotion, but to get where I needed to be, that promotion, it was in a city several hours away. I didn't want to move my family. We ended up having to move because I knew I could take a roundabout way to get where I needed to be. I could take that position, get my foot in the door, make that move, and once my commitment was there, I could come back to where we originally were, move back, and set us up how we wanted to be. And we ended up doing that. You know what? It took several years for that process to play out, but it played out. It wasn't the original plan I had, but it was the plan that we adapted. It was how we changed in order to get to where we needed to be. And sometimes, you're right. Life isn't fair. I'll tell you, I don't know why some people get sick and other people don't. I've had people in my life, good people, that got sick, and I have no idea why. And they did everything they could, and they did not recover. Sometimes you'll see on the news, a drunk driver takes out a young person or a family, and they were just driving along. They were doing everything right. Seat belts on, driving the speed limit, being safe, and all of a sudden they're gone. That's not fair. I can't explain it. You're right. Sometimes life isn't fair. I don't know why bad things happen to good people, and sometimes you see good things happen to bad people. You're right. You know what? It's not fair. It doesn't mean that you can quit. You still have to persevere, and then you have to adapt to move forward with that. And as you are going through, you may think, okay, well, that's great. You tell me I can't quit. I may have to adapt. Going through this adapting time, what am I supposed to do during that adapting time? And you may like or you may not like this, but I've learned it, and I know I've heard other people talk about it. And one reason I put these out, I had men in my life that talked to me about these things as I was going through them. I had men in my life to cheer me on and let me know that I could do it. You may not have somebody. So I want to talk especially to those men out there that don't have anybody that's in your corner to tell you, you know what, if you don't quit, if you adapt, and if you do this right here, if you embrace that struggle. I'm not saying it's easy. It was a struggle. It was a struggle to move. For the first while, I was up there by myself, and my family was back in our other hometown. And I did not like that at all. It was not what we wanted. But we made it through. Everybody ended up moving up, and we were back together again in the shortest time we could make. For a while, we had to stay in a temporary housing before we could find a permanent house to go to. But we made it through. We had to embrace the struggle we were in and try and look on the positive side of it as we could. If you embrace it, if you realize while you're going through that struggle, you will learn different skills. You will learn the skill to adapt. You will learn the skill to make critical decisions and critical thinking, to problem solve, to move forward. The other thing is, as you do that, it will become evident in other aspects of your life that these skills you're learning can be beneficial. You may also, as I did, cross paths and interact with other people that open up doors you didn't think were going to be there, and open up avenues that you had not originally planned on that could be even better than what your original plan were. There was people that I came in contact with, there was connections I made that ended up opening up doors for me in other places and in the future that have worked out much better than what my original plan was. And I'm still benefiting from those today. So you need to look at the struggle not as a complete negative, but what can I benefit from this? What can I learn from this as I'm going through it? And the other thing is, you may or may not want to hear, this process, you may rinse and repeat and rinse and repeat at different stages in life. Because you know what? Like I said, life isn't fair, and it tends to stick its unfair head up at times and impact you in different ways. However, once you go through this once, you realize you can do it. It's a skill you've learned. It's kind of like when you first start to drive, maybe it seems a little scary, a little apprehensive. But once you get in there and realize, hey, I can do this. I can keep the car between the lines. I can drive straight. I can do it. Once you've driven for a few years, you can almost drive back and forth to your job or to the store or wherever. and you got to pay attention and concentrate on it. But it's just a daily activity. It's not a big process for you to do. This becomes the same way. An unexpected event comes up. You decide, you know what, I can't quit. I got to adapt and go forward. You start looking for ways to adapt and move forward. You adapt to it. During that, you learn things as you're going through to embrace it. And those adverse times become shorter, 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 and also less impactful because you realize no matter what happens, I can find a way around it. I can work through it. I also want to tell you this. There's people out there that you look at that go through this and succeed. You need to know they're no better than you. They're no smarter than you. They don't have anything special than you. You are just as good as they are. You deserve to win just as much as they do. What you have to resolve is that, you know what? Yeah, that brass ring is for you too. Now, you have to realize too, not everything is equal all the time. You may have to work a little harder. You may have to adapt a little more. You may have to, push a little longer and work for it a little bit harder. But I will tell you, you deserve it as much as they do. You have the desire within you, if you turn it on, to achieve it just like they do. I'm not saying you can achieve everything. I'm 5'10". I will never be able to stand flat-footed, jump up and dunk a basketball. It's just not going to happen. There can be some other things in life. I'm almost 60. I am probably never going to be the CEO of a major corporation, but at the same time, I didn't pursue that. I pursued other things as far as family the way I wanted to. I'm probably not going to be the president of the United States at this age in life. But what things that are realistic, things that really matter to me, things that matter to you, the desires of your heart, the desires that you want to have, you can achieve those. Set down a plan, map it out, and start going for it. And tell yourself, you are not going to quit. Now, you may have to adapt. You may have to persevere. You may have to embrace the struggle along the way. But I want to tell you, you can do it. You've got what it takes. You're good enough. I don't care what generation you're from. Generation, if you're 15 years old, if you're 25 years old, 35 years old, 45 years old, and nobody has told you, or they have told you, yeah, I know what y'all are like, you just don't have this, or you just don't have that. You know what? They're wrong. You do have it. You've got the skills, you've got the ability. You may have to sharpen your skills, you may have to get some knowledge, but you can do it. Anyway, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I just wanted to stop by today and let you know you can do it. You just have to resolve yourself. You're not going to quit. When adversity comes, you can adapt and you can overcome it. You may have to embrace that tough time for a while, but it won't last forever, and you can get through it. If you would, I'd appreciate it too. When you see somebody else that's going through life that may be struggling, maybe you're still in the middle of your struggle, but you know what? Doesn't mean you can't smile at them, give them a good word. If you know they're going through a bad day, maybe you just need to just let them know they've got a brighter future ahead. They've got the ability to succeed. If you can give them a kind word or a smile, maybe that's all they need to get through the day. And if they get through the day, maybe they'll get through the week. And if they get through the week, maybe they'll get through the month. And maybe it will be better at the end for them. But you know how you feel when you're down. Look around. If you see somebody that is down, be intentional about trying to lift them up. If we had a lot more of that in this world today, this world would be a lot better place. And a lot of this unfairness that I was talking about originally may not be so prevalent across. But anyway, if there's somebody you think can benefit from this, I'd appreciate it if you would share that with them and send it over. We can all use a pat on the back and some encouragement every now and then. And the other thing is, if you found any of this beneficial, if you would like, and drop a comment or subscribe to the channel, it does help things to keep going on the algorithm side of it and to keep things moving along. But anyway, I appreciate your time, and I do hope that today you have a good day and you have a good week, you have a good month, and you have a good year, because I know you've got what it takes to succeed in this life, to overcome your adversities and to have a better tomorrow. But anyway, thank you for your time. I greatly appreciate it.